fight looked like shit. So they have the right to believe that I have no business at welterweight. I knew it was going to be a tough fight. I knew it was going to be a very difficult fight for me. And I still took it because I still believe that I would be able to perform a lot better. You know, I lost my last fight, and okay, that's fine. Move on. Let's go to the next one. Let's get something else. Give me another good win, and they're going to believe that, you know what?
Yeah.
Now he's adjusted. He's good. Now he actually has a shot at it.
Would you want a rematch?
I would.
Yeah.
I would like a rematch. For me, it's just I want to fight the best and give everybody big fights to remember, and that's what matters to me. That's what people are gonna remember me for, taking on all the fights and biggest fights, not for having an undefeated record.
Hey guys, we're here with Mikey Garcia at your camp house here at the ranch. It's been a very long time. It's nice seeing you again.
Thanks.
And tell me how you've been.
We've been good. You know, we've been training for this fight now. It's been I think a total of 10 weeks since I started training for this fight. I feel good. I'm happy. I'm excited. You know, I have good people. You know, helping. You know, sparring, and I feel very good. And overall, when you're happy and you do things, you know, with good feelings, things work out much better. And seeing my dad happy, seeing Robert happy, pleased with my sparring, my performances, that reassures that, you know, that I'm doing a very good job.
You're fighting Jessie Vargas. What do you think about him?
I mean, he's a great guy. You know, he's a good fighter. He's a great fighter. It's a tough fight. You know, it possesses a lot of things that will make it challenging. You know, he's got height advantage. He's got reach advantages. Size-wise, naturally, he's bigger. So I expect a tough fight. You know, he's a warrior. You know, he always comes to win, always comes to fight, and his only 2 losses against Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley. You know, and he almost had Bradley out in the last round for those 15 seconds. So you know, that shows you he's a quality opponent. He's a great opponent. He's former champion, 2 divisions. I can't take him lightly. I know he has a lot of, you know, things going for him. I know he's gonna be probably in the best shape ever. I expect the best Jessie Vargas. He knows that a good win over me will open up doors for him, you know, big doors. And that's why I'm expecting him to be in the best shape ever. So, you know, I think it's a good fight. It's a good challenge so that I can prove myself to everybody that there's a lot more to Mikey Garcia, even at welterweight. A lot of people still don't believe I can do anything just based on my last performance. That's totally understandable. But I think after this fight, people will change their mind a little bit more about me fighting at welterweight.
Yeah, so after your last fight, you know, like you said, do you feel like you need to prove something to people?
Well, I know that there's a lot more I can do. There's a lot more I can accomplish. Last fight doesn't reflect that. So that's the reason why we decided to take this fight at welterweight against a good name, good former champion in Jessie Vargas. And that will help answer those questions. Whether I decide to stay at 47 or maybe I come back down to 40 is still to be determined. I'll just wait to see what options are available. But I do want to show everybody that there's a lot more that I can do that my last fight doesn't reflect.
So, Devin Haney, you had a conversation with him.
Yeah, I saw him yesterday. Well, we were doing the media, you know, a little lunch media section there, and in Anaheim with DAZN Matchroom, and you know, I don't know who asked him first. I was doing some media on my own. Later, someone says, "What do you have to say about Devin Haney calling you out?" Well, I had no idea that he had already mentioned, you know, my name earlier. I'm like, well, you know what? This is the first time I hear it. I don't know. I mean, I just heard it. What did he say? He says that, you know, if he wants to target some big names, you know, and he can't get them, he's willing to move up to 140 and fight you in a big fight, and he would be very excited for that. I'm like, oh, well, that's great, you know. That's the mentality and the mindset that a young, hungry champion like himself has to have. I was in that place, you know, earlier in my career where I wanted the big fights. I wanted the big championship fights. So that makes total sense. He's a great fighter. You know, he's been doing very well. he does need those big fights. You know, in order for him to prove himself against everybody, he needs, you know, 1 or 2 good wins like that to be able to, you know, elevate his status. So I said for sure. I mean, that could definitely happen if he has a good win and a solid performance, and if there's enough buzz, enough attention into the fight with me, then we could definitely look into that and explore that option. I mean, he's young, he's fast, strong. You know, I think the fans would really like to see something like that. Can a young, hungry fighter like himself, you know, overtake a fighter like me? You know, accomplish, you know, different champion divisions and experience level. That's what's intriguing about a fight like that. Young, you know, hungry fighter against the older veteran who's still, you know, championship level fights like myself. I think that's what people would really be excited for. So I'm down to entertain anything like that in the near future.
Don't you think it's a little bit too much to fight you? Maybe he should fight somebody else.
Look,
younger.
Yeah, like I said, it might. A lot of people might think that it's a little too soon for him to fight someone like me, but you know, when I was first fighting for my first world title, I was fighting at featherweight against Orlando Salido, and he had been fighting some of the best fighters in the division. He had a lot more experience than I had. A lot of people didn't believe I was ready for a fight like that. You know, that's similar situation with Devin. In fact, Devin's already champion, so it's not quite the same. But you know, what I mean, once in a while you have to take those challenges, and he wants to challenge himself against someone like me. I can now say that I can be considered a veteran because of all the experience I have. You know, I feel like I'm in my prime. I'm not a veteran just because of age and getting old. I love
your experience,
you know, my experience, you know, that's what gives me that veteran, you know, experience. All the fights I've been in with the best in different weight classes, but I feel like I'm in my prime. You know, I don't feel old at all. I'm young. I'm hungry. I'm excited. So having a kid like himself, you know, challenge me actually motivates me more and excites me more because I'm like, I'm gonna show these kids, you know, there's levels to it. It's not as easy as they think. You know, so I would definitely entertain a fight with him.
Okay, so Devin Haney, you feel like, okay, you'll take this fight, right? But if it's not you, do you think it should be somebody else?
Well, I heard of him, you know, talking about like the idea of fighting Adrien Broner. I think that would be a good matchup.
Oh, yeah, they had like a little bit.
Yeah, I saw it on the social media. Look, I think that those are the right matchups for him right now, being that Adrien Broner is very qualified, you know, former champion in 4 divisions as well. I'm sure it would be an exciting fight. If Adrien Broner is maybe not fully prepared, not in the best shape, you know, having to come down in weight to 135, maybe possibly 140, you know, that would help. But if he has to come down 35, I think it would be a bigger struggle for Adrien Broner. So all that plays into Devin Haney's advantage. And I mean, if he can beat Broner, then those are the names that he needs, you know. And that could possibly set up a fight with me. You know, if he goes through Broner first, that could definitely, you know, most likely set up a fight with me in the you know, near future. So those are fights that he's gonna need. There's other names I'm sure that they'll look into that will kind of, you know, step up the game and then position him in a place to be able to challenge bigger fights, bigger names like myself or anybody else. I think Devin Haney is a terrific fighter, and they're doing very well. You know, they're matching him well. They're developing, you know, a true world champion with him, and you know, he's got a lot of options in the near future. I think you know, if you got in the mix between Devin and Ryan, you got Tank, you got Rollies, you got guys that are very, very popular, right? I think as fight fans, myself included, would love to see those kind of fights. Get in the mix and let's see which one of them can, you know, beat everybody else. They're all in the same weight classes now, and they're, you know, similar level of experience. Tank being a little more experienced, champion in more weight classes, but still, you know, he's still a young breed, very young fighter. You know, Ryan, you know, all the following that he has, you know, he's got a big following, and he is developing very well. Also, he's learning a lot more now. He's proving himself more and more every fight. Devin Haney, yeah, like a young, hungry champion. Those are great matchups. I think with my experience as you know, boxing with promotion, with management, I think the manager and the promoters will not allow those fights. Not yet. We would love to see those fights, but the management and the promotion behind them, they will not allow that because they rather have those fighters grow to big star, you know, fighters, and then at the end do those fights. It's just business. It's the way business works, and the business interest sometimes is greater than the fight itself at the moment. It'll happen. Those fights will happen, but in a couple of years from now. Right now, what they need is Ryan to fight Linares, a former champion, similar to Adrien Broner, with many accolades, but maybe not quite in his prime. You know, and Ryan beats Linares and, you know, helps his career. Devin Haney fighting Broner. If Devin Haney can pull it off and beat Broner, which I think is going to be a tough fight, because Broner can fight. But, again, on paper, it seems like that would be the good matchup, the best matchup for Devin Haney right now. Get a type of Adrien Broner name under his belt and rise his stock. Those are the fights that they're going to look for. And like I said, that's because management, promotion, network, interest are greater. And if I think like the promoter, if I think like a manager, those are the fights I'm going to look for my fighter. Eventually, then you can see Devin and Ryan and Tank or whoever may be in the mix, Rollies in there, and a few others that are very, very popular. I mean, you'll see those in the future. Not yet.
Hopefully we will. You know, hopefully we will.
Well, hopefully, you know, let's hope that we see those fights. But I still feel that there's a lot more that I can deliver. I just wasn't able to do it that night. Like I said, it just wasn't my night. I felt slow and tired and weak early, and I just couldn't do anything. But Errol fought very well. He fought very well. He boxed at, you know, at right distance. He would only come in at the attack when he felt the time was ready, was right. Whenever I try to, you know, put any punches behind, he'd move back enough and just jab and circle around. He was very smart. He's a very good fighter. Very, very good fighter. Very technical, very smart. So he fought the best fight.
So his car accident, what do you think about that? And do you think like he can be the same Errol Spence that he was when he fought you?
Well, you know, it's very unfortunate. It's sad that, you know, he had an accident like that, but it's also very irresponsible of him to be driving under the influence and at high speeds like that, you know, in the middle of the night, you know, any time of the day, you know, you're not supposed to be driving like that. So it's a learning experience. I'm sure he probably, I hope he never does that again. But that's also a reminder and a lesson to everybody else. You know, don't drive at high speeds, you know, and obviously not when you're under the influence, not when you're drinking. Don't do it. So hopefully a lot more people can see that as an example and as a lesson. Whether he's able to come back, you know, like before, I mean, still to be seen. I think he can. When the accident news came out and dropped, I heard that he wasn't really majorly injured. Like, he didn't have broken bones. He might have had a few lacerations, I heard, on his face. And okay, but a lot of that's, I would think, even his teeth, I heard, maybe had some injuries to his mouth. And a lot of stuff could be just kind of cosmetic, where it's just, you know, on the outside exterior type of thing, nothing internal, nothing broken, you know, bones where it's going to really affect you. So I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine. He's taking enough time off. He's taking enough time off already. I don't know if he's already back in training or not, but he's taking enough time off to allow his body to heal from the accident, recover fully. And that's a smart thing to do, because you do need a lot of recovery time. Can't rush these things. We'll see once he's back. Once he's back, we'll see how well he can fight. And if he's back to normal, then he'll still have a long future.
Would you want a rematch?
I would.
Yeah?
I would like a rematch. Especially now that I feel that being holding this weight, carrying this weight longer time might have helped my body more. You know, last time we tried to bulk up and gain weight within like 10 weeks. It probably wasn't enough for my body to, you know, grow so much. But now I feel better. I do feel better. I feel good. I feel strong, and I think my body adjusted much better. So I would definitely look into a rematch, but I have to earn it. I have to get 1 or 2 good wins in order for the fans and all the critics to actually buy into it and feel that it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
As it is right now, I haven't done anything to be able to show anybody that I can actually perform at welterweight, that I can do something at 147. So as it is right now, no one's gonna be interested in watching me or challenge, hear me challenge Errol Spence. Everybody gonna just open up their mouth and be like talking and laughing at me, and rightfully so. I haven't proven myself. Let me get 1 or 2 good wins, and then we'll discuss something like that.
There's a lot of critics. There's a lot of people saying, I lost so much money. Fuck Mikey. Like, I personally posted a picture with like you and Jessie Vargas, and I said, who wins?
Yeah.
I always do it on my Instagram, so if you're watching, go comment. And a lot of people said Mikey Garcia till death.
Yeah.
Team Mikey Garcia, right? Other people like, okay, there was a few for Jessie, but some of them were saying like, oh, I lost so much money, so they just like hating. So that's what I'm trying to kind of tell right now, that it's not as easy to carry the weight, to adjust your body being an athlete. So trying to like help out the people that don't understand what you really went through, so they're not just fuck Mikey, I lost money, but they would actually understand a little bit what truly happened, that it's not because you were lazy, not because you didn't want to fight. So what was the real reason why it happened? Was it weight?
It's just if you look at other sports, compare it to other sports, sometimes other sports, like soccer, basketball, baseball, whoever it may be, football, there's a fighter that has an off day and they pull him out. That's just, in soccer or anybody, or he just doesn't play that day because he's not feeling so well, or he's not performing so well, but he's got other players that are helping and carries you, and everybody acknowledges that and moves on. Boxing isn't like that, because it's only one opportunity that we have as a fighter to show our skills and demonstrate, our fight game on that night. If it happens to be that there's a few things that are going around that don't allow you to fight, like say if the weight, the size, Errol being such a good fighter, made things so much, difficult for me that night, well then I'm not gonna be able to perform. It's not easy for me to be able to be the same person when I got a lot of things are against me. But that's what I wanted. I actually challenged myself. So it's not like I just took a fight without considering all these, challenges and all these obstacles. I knew it was going to be a tough fight. I knew it was going to be a very difficult fight for me. And I still took it because I still believed that I would be able to perform a lot better. It wasn't the case. I just couldn't. Anybody that I lost a lot of money. Well, okay. Well, what the fuck you want me to do? you lost money. You believed in me, but it wasn't right.
True.
That's part of the gambling.
You were the one fighting in the ring. They were the one betting money.
If you're all sad about money that you lost, then you shouldn't be betting in the first place.
Yeah.
Anybody that bets money or gambles in any way, you should never bet money that you need. You should gamble money that you basically don't need. If you're gonna put money on a fight or on a sport or whatever, then consider that lost. And if you win, great. If you're not, then just let it go. But if you're gonna be all butthurt over money that you lost, then you shouldn't be betting in the first place. That's what gambling is. That's what the sport is. You win, you don't. There's two sides. You could win, you could lose. You knew you were gonna risk your money. Okay, I couldn't do it. Well, too bad. Fuck, move on. Stop crying about it. You'll get it back after my next fight or whatever. You'll make money. Good. If you decide to bet on me, good. You'll make money. If not, well then don't do it. Don't be crying about it. I mean, you knew what you were doing, just like I knew what I was up against.
Right. So it's kind of similar situation.
It's the same shit. So stop crying. All those people that are crying, fuck them. Stop crying. Move on.
Right. Move on. Just like Mikey, he moved on.
You move on.
He's fighting right now. He knows and believes that he's gonna prove you guys. So let's just wait.
Yeah.
And then hopefully, like, people gonna forget. So.
It's just one opportunity that I had. I couldn't deliver. We're fighting this time again 2 weeks from now against Jessie. People will see the fight and now start to believe that I can actually do something. Give me another good win, and they're gonna believe that, you know what?
Yeah.
Now he's adjusted, he's good. Now he actually has a chance, a shot at it. Up until now, I definitely understand their reasoning to believe and their opinions, because the last fight looked like shit. So they have the right to believe that I have no business at welterweight. But let them see me one or two more times, and they're gonna, come around.
Yeah, like come on, guys. When Canelo lost to Floyd, it was like, oh, but now everybody Canelo. Everybody forgot. Nobody even remembers that.
When you have your fans, the fans that really support you, they'll back you up, and it's fine. But then there's other fans that are just somewhat boxing fans, but not really in depth. They don't really understand everything, and they're easy to turn around. And that's fine. I don't mind. That's the way boxing. That's the way the fans are. It's okay. I don't take anything personal. Whatever anybody says in a comment, or whatever, that's all right. It doesn't affect me.
It's like Ronda Rousey's fans. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a disaster.
She had a great career, and then she has a loss, and everybody turns their back on her and talking so much shit, and then takes on a bigger challenge and loses, but she fucking was willing to do it.
Right, trying, not just talking.
And now all of a sudden, everybody talking. Well, people will talk, but they're not the ones getting in the ring. They're not the ones getting in that circle. People that talk are not the ones actually doing the training and losing weight. They're not there, so it's not fair. But that's the way it is. We as fighters, as professional athletes, any athlete, have to just ignore that. Just I understand where you're coming from. That's okay. You can have your opinion. It's fine. I know what I got to do. I know the training that it takes. I know what it takes to be in the ring, and that's it.
I do really see right now. I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm like it's so close from you, and I can see your eyes that you really don't care about your loss. Because when I just came here, honestly, I thought that I see you differently. You're so calm, you're just talking like this all the time, not like this Mikey that I'm used to. And I was like, maybe you still can't get over this fight. I'm like, I gotta go and just talk to Mikey. I can't believe he's still so sad about it. But right now, I give you my word that I do see in your eyes, you really don't care. I see hungry Mikey that willing to prove you guys that, he's gonna show you he can't. I feel like you can't wait to show.
I can't wait to get back and show everybody that I'm just as good as ever, and that my last fight, my loss, doesn't determine my career. Doesn't determine whether I was ever any good or not. That's okay. That's in the past. Once I come back, you're gonna see me. I'll be champion again. I'll be champion once or two, three more times. That there's no doubt in my mind that I'll be champion. 2, 3 more times. I know for a fact I'm gonna be champion. That's how strong mindset I have, and that's how much I believe in myself. I'll be champion this year, and possibly champion again next year with another title and different weight class, or I'm gonna do a lot more. A lot of people focus on the loss because it was my first loss, and like I said, a lot of people put a lot of importance in the undefeated record, but that's not the way I see it. So for me, it's not a big deal. A lot of people put a lot of attention into an undefeated record because of Floyd. Floyd marketed himself very well as the best for being undefeated. I'm 48 and 0, I'm 49 and 0, I'm 50 and 0, undefeated. He promoted that a lot in himself, and people kind of grabbed that and now compare everybody to Floyd with an undefeated record. So they've put more attention into the undefeated record, keeping an O, but honestly, I don't see it like that. I don't feel that that's as important as people give it. People give it importance, but I think what's more important in the end of the day, and the end of your career, I think what's going to be most important is the level of opposition that you fought, who you might have even lost to, is considerable. Did you lose to someone much greater, and was it a great fight? Then the defeat doesn't have as much weight anymore, because it was a great fight and it was a big challenge, rather than just keeping an undefeated record against nobody.
Yeah,
at the moment,
Why?
in the moment, it's somewhat important. Like I said, for marketing, it looks good, but in the end, people will remember you for the fights that you have, for the great champions that you fight, and not just for an undefeated record. Um, I know a fighter with a very good record who retired undefeated, and nobody will know him. That's not what people remember. People want to see you fight the best. Floyd did retire with an undefeated record, but he did fight pretty much everybody. He fought so many champions in his career, and I mean that's why people will always remember him, not just for the undefeated record. Some of these kids, obviously, it's important to keep an undefeated record early on, and you also don't want to hurt the fighter's career with a knockout, early knockout. A loss will affect the fighter. You get knocked out once or twice, big solid knockouts, that could definitely hurt the fighter. So you try not to get those type of fights until you're ready to, you're ready as a developed fighter. So I mean, there is importance to keeping an undefeated record early on, but once you become champion and become a bigger draw, then I don't see it as important, because for me, at least not for me. For me, it's just I want to fight the best and give everybody big fights to remember, and that's what matters to me. That's what people are gonna remember me for, taking on all the fights and biggest fights, not for having an undefeated record. I lost my last fight, and okay, that's fine. Move on. Let's go to the next one. Let's get something else. That's all the way I see things.
Really like hoping that you're gonna change this thing about being like this undefeated, because honestly, me as a boxing fan too, I do love watch fights, and I rather see some action going on rather than just this record.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's different paths, different guidance by the managers, promoters. Fighter needs to be groomed and developed in a certain way. So they're still important to being undefeated, early on, but then there comes a point where it can change. Like for me, it changed a long time ago, and that's why I kept taking fight after fight, champion after champion after champion. Where the other fighters that are champions keep defending their title against contenders, decent opponents, but not challenging themselves. They're defending their titles, they keep fighting, but they're not challenging themselves. They're not not moving up. They're not climbing up in challenges. Whereas I am. I'm pushing every fight.
Hopefully you can change this boxing game, like make it more old school when you actually go and take challenges, no matter if you lose or win, you're just there, you perform great, and just have this, either it's love or hate. I feel like it's still action.
Maybe more fighters start to follow my my strategy. I don't want to say strategy, but my roadmap. I mean, what am I supposed to be afraid of? Losing against a big champion? No, why? I mean, you challenge yourself. That's how you're gonna prove to everybody that you're the best. You're down to fight anybody. In the end, I think, like I said, that's what people are gonna remember. My career for fighting. Champion after champion, and not giving any ducking anybody over here. No, just take it. Do the fights.
So here's the suggestion, kind of, for all the young fighters and prospects.
I was excited for the fight. I wanted that fight because I really believed that my skill level would allow me to overcome the weight challenge, the size challenge, the height and reach and weight advantages that Errol has over me. I felt that my skills were gonna be better. I was gonna be quicker, faster, smarter on fight night. But like I said, after the weigh-in, we felt that maybe it's not such a good idea to be so small. If I stayed at around 47, 48, 49, I'm gonna be way small, too small. I'm gonna be 12, 14 pounds possibly lighter than Errol Spence on fight night, and that could be a big difference in size where I could get hurt. So we added extra weight that we shouldn't have. But like I said, that's just you learn from that. I didn't prepare this ahead of time. It's just something that happened at last minute. Next day, I'm flying back, and a friend of mine, I was riding in his plane, and he asked me, he's like, "Hey, so how do you feel? Like, I mean, you just lost, for the first time." I'm like, nah, it's nothing. It's not a big deal. Like, I mean, okay, I lost, but I took on the biggest fight. It was a great event, huge event. that's it. I mean, you move forward. I can't dwell on the past. I can't be dwelling on the loss and be all depressed. No, that's just not me. You win some, you lose some. Okay, so what? Move on. What's next? This is next. And I started telling him, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do it here. It's like, wow, that's good. You know, you're keeping yourself very positive. I mean, yeah, that's the only way to think. I mean, I don't. If I'm gonna be living in the past, I'll be all depressed. You know, and if I'm gonna be, you know, thinking of what's gonna happen in the future, you know, after I lost, what's gonna happen is gonna affect me. You know, am I gonna be able to come back? Then I'm gonna be all with anxiety. I can't do that. So let's move on. Let's keep going.
Still feel like you're young. You still feel like, you know, you have something to show,
Definitely.
to prove, and this was just whatever. Did something happen? Did you feel good? Were you like not feeling okay
It just, you know, it wasn't my night. I felt tired. I got tired early. I felt slow. I felt sluggish. I felt weak. I didn't feel the power. I just, you know, there's a lot of things that go into it. Like I said, I was fighting a bigger guy, naturally bigger, who could take a bigger punch. So maybe that's why I also didn't feel that I was carrying any power, because he's a lot bigger. He can take a bigger punch.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I didn't feel like I was strong enough. Weight was apparent. I felt slower, and I think maybe because of the weight. When we were in camp, we're training. You know, I was sparring, weighing in about 149, 150, and I was feeling good, fast, strong. Then I weigh in. You know, we drop a little bit of weight during the training there the last few days. I walk in on the scale. I think it was like 45, something like that. But then we thought that it was a good idea to hydrate ourselves much more, so that on fight night I'm not as small in weight as Errol Spence. Errol, we figured he was probably gonna hydrate well about 160 or higher, 164 maybe. So we don't want to be too small on fight night and have such a big disadvantage in weight. So I actually hydrated. I walked in the ring. I think it was like 54 that I walked in the ring, and I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot of weight maybe, but it must have played an effect on my body on fight night, because I felt tired, I felt slow, and the only way I can give anybody the comparison is like if I just drop a 10-pound weighted vest on you, you know, from weighing 45 to 154, 9 pounds. If I throw 10 pounds on you, you're not gonna be able to move the same. You're not gonna be able to move as quickly. You're not gonna be able to be as fast, and you're gonna tire faster too. Well, that's kind of the only thing that I feel that might have happened. I can't say that's exactly what happened and that's why the fight went the way it went. No, but I do look at it and see that these things could have played a part in why I fought the way I fought, why I felt the way I felt. You know, throw somebody a weighted vest for 12 rounds, you know, for 5-6 rounds, they're gonna be tired. You're gonna tire because you're not used to carrying that much weight. You know, so that could have been a difference, but that's all right. You know, just okay. You learn from that. You apply it in the next time. You fight and you win, and people are gonna realize that I'm a lot more than what they saw in the previous fight.
You had a setback, you know.
Yeah.
When you haven't fought, so you kind of know this all inner thing. So what do you think needs to be changed?
Look, I don't know if I want to say that things need to be changed. It's just promoter, depending on the promoter, they work in different ways. Certain promoters look for certain things in a fighter to develop a fighter. You know, there's every fighter is different. Every fighter has different limits, and some fighters hit their ceiling a lot sooner than others. So the promoter has to be smart enough to help that fighter reach its maximum potential and maximum height in status and ceiling before getting him beat and whatnot. So every fighter has different career paths based on the promoter. The promoter's experience and manager are the ones that dictate that. But the promoter's interest is also in the business side. You know, they also look at it in a business perspective. So, like I said, it's not so much that you have to change the sport or the way boxing is done.
Maybe adjust things.
Well,
what would you do as a promoter?
look,
You know?
I've done a few shows, promoting, and not every fighter is gonna be world champion. So you try to get him to reach the maximum potential that he can accomplish, maximum level of success. And there's other fighters who you see potential to be world champion, one, two, three times. So you have to guide them a certain way. Now the fans, the media sometimes doesn't acknowledge that, doesn't understand how it works and why you put more emphasis on one fighter versus another, or why you guided him, with maybe matching up a certain way. Maybe a fighter doesn't take a good punch, but that kid is gonna be a star.
Mm-hmm.
So you match him up a little lighter at first to build the record up. Let him grow. Let him grow into a man, a body that can really be strong. So you groom him a little different. There's other kids who are 17, 18, 19 years old, even in the amateurs. They're already men. They're ready to go. Especially if they had a longer amateur career. They're more experienced. So you push them a little more. And they might be only 20 years old. But that guy is a solid, man. He's 20, but he's strong, and he ain't, fearing anybody. He can take a good punch. He's willing to fight with anybody. And like I said, you have the other kid who's also 20. He's gonna be a star, but still developing. Still let him grow a little bit. So you take your time with one. The other one you can rush a little more, but the other one you have to take your time. As a promoter, as a manager, you have to see these things. Now, everybody wants to see everybody fight the best, but there's a time for that. So like I said, it's not that I'm going to change the sport or that I would like to change it, but people just need to understand it better. So when people understand how it really works, it makes sense. It makes sense. Why they match up certain fighters lighter early on in their career versus someone else who at 15, 16 fights already fighting for a world champion. It happens, as a good example. A friend of ours, dear friend, family, Fernando Vargas.
Mm-hmm.
He went to the Olympics. He was 19 years old and he was 20 years old when he fought Jorge Campas for the world title. Fernando had 14 fights. Jorge Campas had 64 fights, only one loss, like 59 knockouts. And Fernando was 14-0, 20 years old. I mean, you don't see that happening right now.
Yeah, exactly. So
but
why?
Fernando was a different fighter, very developed, very experienced, Olympian, and at 20 years old, he was already a man. He was ready. So they put him in against, the world champion, and he beat him, and he went on to become one of the best, fighters of his time, fighting the best fighters. But then again, his career was a lot shorter. He retired, at 26, 28, somewhere in there. A shorter career because he fought all the guys. He went to, after he fought Campas, he fought Raul Marquez, he fought Winky Wright, Ike Corte, Trinidad, De La Hoya, Mosley. He fought them all. But again, the career was shortened. Because he fought everybody. It's a lot of wear and tear. Body, you can't take that much. When you see other careers, for example, Canelo, they took their time. He didn't fight for the world title till he was, I think, like over 30, 40 fights. They took his time with him because he wasn't quite as experienced maybe early on. They needed to let him develop, learn. And even when he did fight for a title, they still matched him well enough to where he can gain experience from every fight. But they know he's a big star, so why risk anything early on? Let's let this, grow. And look at him now. He's probably one of the best pound for pound, considered one of the best pound for pound, champion in 4 divisions and fighting, the biggest fights of the year in boxing. So that's a different mindset, mindset in boxing, business. Business wise, it's better to take your time. And also you got to be able to understand whether the fighter can do it or not. Like I said, Fernando was ready earlier, so they put him in earlier. Other fighters need a little more time. And that's the same thing that's going to happen with all these young kids right now. Some are ready, some are not.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Tank was champion at 20, 21, 22.
Yeah.
Ryan's still not champion.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Haney's champion, but he still may need a little more time to get to the big fights.
Yeah.
It takes time. Tank is champion, and in different divisions now, but he still hasn't had those big fights yet. You know, he's had some good fights. His you know his promoter Mayweather understands this. It's just like Golden Boy understands this with Canelo and with Ryan. So they got to develop the fighter, and that's what a lot of fans don't quite understand or don't even know, that there's a lot more to a career and to a fighter. Every fighter has different abilities, different capabilities, different maximum potential. So you have to, as a promoter, you have to be able to take what you have and get it to its full potential. That's just the way it is.
Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury.
It's a good fight.
Next week.
I think it's a very good fight. You know, first fight was very exciting, very controversial. A lot of people thought Fury had won based in rounds, but with the knockdowns, I could see the draw. Actually, I also had it a draw. I think it's a good matchup. I feel that Wilder will win. I think Wilder will start a little earlier and let his hands go a little earlier in the fight, and eventually, start catching Fury. He'll hurt him. He'll drop him. I think Wilder will win by knockout. A lot of people will say and tell me when I read and I hear that Wilder doesn't start fast enough. That when he fought Fury the first time, he started late in the fight, and when he fought Ortiz, same thing. For the first 6 rounds, Ortiz was outboxing him. That he's just not that kind of fighter. So I tell them, my response is, I think he's gonna use those 2 fights as prime examples of why he needs to start earlier. He's gonna use those examples as experience and as a lesson to start sooner, not let so many rounds go by. He's not the best technical fighter, but he's very strong. So why not start earlier, let his hands go, and start dominating early on. That way you don't leave, any concern, any worries for the judges. You start early. I think he's on a big high, confidence-wise. He's on a big high, and he's confident in himself. He's strong. He's probably one of the strongest, the strongest and heaviest hitter in this generation. And soon enough, he'll be regarded as one of the strongest of all time for the heavyweights, because the guy knocks everybody out. Solid one-punch knockout power. So I think Fury's supposed to box. He needs to box. He needs to height and reach advantage and everything. But if he already got hurt and got dropped in the first fight, I think Wilder does it even sooner, and I think he stops him. I think Wilder wins by stoppage, by knockout.
Is there any other fights that you want to see in the future that you're looking up to see? To watch.
That's the one that I'm excited for right now. That's intriguing. I mean, there's other fights that I'm sure will come about later, but right now that's the only one that unless I'm forgetting something right now. I might be forgetting something, but that's the only one that I'm looking forward to. Okay.
So I guess that's it. Thank you so much for taking your time here with me. That actually it was a very long interview, so I really appreciate for your time.
It's fine. You're welcome.
A couple weeks before you fight.
Yep.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and go follow Team Mikey Garcia and me, Snow Queen LA. Thank you so much for watching.